Ambassador Jiwoo walked slowly into the massive hall where the alien judges waited for her. Her hands were tied with glowing energy chains that hummed softly in the quiet room. The walls stretched up so high she could barely see the ceiling. Hundreds of strange alien creatures sat in curved rows, their eyes fixed on her small human form. The lead judge was a being made of living crystal that sparkled under the bright lights. When it spoke, its voice came through machines that turned alien sounds into words she could understand. "Human representative, you stand accused of breaking our most sacred laws." Jiwoo lifted her chin and looked directly at the crystal being. She had known this moment would come. For months, she had tried to make peace between humans and the Galactic Council. She had explained that humans were not a threat, that they only wanted to trade and learn from other species. But the aliens refused to listen. "Your people have grown too fast," another judge said. This one looked like a giant insect with multiple arms. "You have learned our technology without permission. You have built ships that should not exist. This violates the natural order that has kept the galaxy stable for millions of years." The human ambassador took a deep breath. Around her, thousands of alien creatures watched with cold eyes. Some had tentacles instead of arms. Others floated in the air without any body at all. A few looked almost human, but had skin that changed, colors like a rainbow. "We have done nothing wrong," Jiwoo said clearly. "We have never attacked anyone. We have never stolen anything. We learned and built things because that is what humans do. We grow, we learn, we become better." The crystal. Judge made a sound like breaking glass. That is exactly the problem. Species that grow too quickly become dangerous. They upset the balance. They threaten those who have ruled for eons. The natural order demands that newer species remain in their place. Jiwoo felt her heart beat faster. She had studied the history of the Galactic Council before coming here. She knew they had destroyed dozens of species that they considered threats. Entire worlds had been wiped clean of life. Billions of innocent beings had died simply because they had developed too fast or refused to serve the older alien races. "You are here because your species has been marked for elimination," the insect judge announced. "But we are merciful. We offer you a choice. Surrender all human technology to us. Destroy your weapons. Accept our rule completely. Do this, and some of your people may live as servants." The human ambassador closed her eyes for a moment. She thought about Earth, about the blue oceans and green forests where she had grown up. She thought about her family, her friends, the children playing in parks under the warm sun. She thought about human artists painting beautiful pictures, scientists making amazing discoveries, ordinary people falling in love and building families. "I have an answer for you," Jiwoo said quietly. She activated a tiny device hidden in her tooth. It was so small that even the aliens' advanced scanners had missed it. The device connected her brain directly to a quantum communication network that could send messages instantly across the entire galaxy. "Protocol 7, she whispered. They chose war. The message flashed through space faster than light itself. Every human ship received it at the same moment. Every human colony got the signal. Every human soldier, scientist, and leader knew that the time for hiding was over." The crystal judge raised one of its sharp arms. Energy began to gather around its body, creating a weapon that could burn through steel. "You have chosen death for your entire species. Let this be a lesson to any who dare challenge the natural order." The execution beam fired, but Jiwoo was not afraid. She knew that her death would not be the end. It would be the beginning of something the aliens could never have imagined. As the energy struck her, her neural implant released everything humanity had kept secret. Complete battle plans, weapon designs, troop locations, and strategic targets flooded through the quantum network to every human commander in the galaxy. The aliens had made a terrible mistake. They thought killing one human would make the rest surrender in fear. They broadcast Jiwoo's execution across their empire, showing it to billions of alien citizens as proof of their power. But humans were not like other species. When threatened, they did not cower. When attacked, they did not run. When one of their own was murdered, they came together with a fury that could burn down worlds. The execution that was meant to end human resistance had just begun, the bloodiest war the galaxy had ever seen. The red alert sirens wailed across Earth as President Su Jin walked into the emergency command center deep beneath the capital city. Her face was pale, but her eyes burned with cold anger. Every screen in the room showed the same horrific image, Ambassador Jiwoo's execution, being broadcast across alien networks like some twisted celebration. Madam President, General Haewon stood at attention as she entered. All military commanders are standing by. The colonies have confirmed receipt of Protocol 7. Su Jin nodded slowly. She had hoped this day would never come. For 50 years, humanity had played the role of peaceful explorers, humble traders seeking friendship among the stars. It had been the greatest act in human history. Open all channels, she commanded. Global emergency broadcast. I want every human in the galaxy to hear this. Within seconds, her image appeared on screens throughout Earth and beyond, in distant colonies, in hidden military bases, in merchant ships traveling between stars. Humans stopped what they were doing to listen. My fellow humans, Su Jin began, her voice steady and clear. 1 hour ago, the Galactic Council murdered our ambassador in cold blood. They executed Jiwoo not for any crime, but because they fear what we might become. She paused, letting the weight of those words sink in. On Earth, families gathered around their screens. Children looked up at their parents with worried faces. In the colonies, settlers gripped their tools tighter, waiting to hear what came next. For 50 years we have offered them friendship. We have traded fairly, shared our knowledge, and asked for nothing but the chance to live in peace. But peace was never an option for them. They see us as a threat simply because we exist. Behind her, Admiral Dong-hyun stepped forward. His uniform bore no decorations, nothing to hint at the massive secret he was about to reveal. For decades, he had been known as a simple fleet coordinator, managing cargo ships and colony transports. Citizens of Earth and her colonies, the Admiral began, it is time you learned the truth about our expansion into space. He activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy. Hundreds of points of light marked human settlements, trade routes, and what everyone believed were peaceful colonies. Every ship that left Earth carried more than colonists and supplies. Every merchant vessel that traded with aliens carried more than goods. Every diplomatic mission gathered more than cultural exchange. The display changed, revealing hidden compartments in ships, concealed weapon systems, and military installations disguised as research stations. The peaceful human expansion suddenly looked very different. Our colony ships were not just carrying families seeking new homes. They carried the most advanced weapons humanity has ever built. Weapons that can split planets in half. Weapons that can turn stars into bombs. Gasps echoed in living rooms across Earth. Parents covered their children's ears, not from fear but from amazement. Their quiet, peaceful expansion had been anything but peaceful. Our trade vessels were not just carrying goods between worlds. They carried elite soldiers trained for decades in alien combat techniques, men and women who studied every alien weakness, every military strategy, every possible battle scenario. The Admiral's voice grew stronger as he continued. Our diplomats were not just building relationships, they were mapping every alien military base, recording every conversation, learning the location of every strategic target in the galaxy. President Su Jin stepped forward again. We prepared for this moment because we knew it would come. History taught us that there is always someone who believes they have the right to decide who lives and who dies. We decided long ago that humanity would never again face extinction. On the display, red dots began appearing throughout the galaxy. Each dot represented a hidden human military asset, a concealed weapon system, or a sleeper agent ready to activate. These aliens thought they were dealing with naive newcomers, Su Jin continued. They saw our small ships and peaceful words and assumed we were weak. They never imagined that we were studying them just as carefully as they were studying us. She looked directly into the camera, her voice dropping to barely above a whisper. Every alien who voted for Jiwoo's death, every species that cheered her execution, every world that broadcast her murder as entertainment, they have all made the same fatal error. The President straightened her shoulders and spoke the words that would echo through history. They forgot that humans are not just builders and dreamers. We are also the most dangerous predators this galaxy has ever seen. Admiral Dong-hyun activated the final sequence. Across the galaxy, hidden human assets received their orders. Colony ships revealed their true nature. Trade vessels dropped their disguises. Diplomatic stations became military command centers. We gave them peace, President Su Jin concluded, her voice now carrying the cold promise of war. They chose extinction. The broadcast ended, but its message spread faster than light itself. Humanity had tried diplomacy. Now they would try war. Captain Minho sat calmly in his pilot's chair as 3 alien patrol ships surrounded his small merchant vessel. For 2 years, he had traded peacefully in this sector, selling Earth goods and buying alien technology. The insectoid commanders knew him well. They trusted him. Human trader, the lead alien captain's voice crackled through the communication system. You are ordered to surrender immediately. All human vessels are being detained by order of the Galactic Council. Minho smiled and pressed a small button hidden beneath his control panel. I'm afraid I can't do that. The outer hull of his ship began to shift and change. What had looked like storage compartments suddenly opened to reveal weapons that should not have existed on a simple trading vessel. The alien ships immediately raised their shields and prepared to fire. They were already too late. Beams of pure antimatter erupted from Minho's ship, striking the alien vessels before they could even begin to turn away. The energy weapons tore through their advanced shields like paper. In less than 5 seconds, 3 patrol ships became expanding clouds of glowing debris. Ghost leader to all units, Minho spoke into his communicator. The mask is off. Repeat, the mask is off. Begin Phase 1. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out simultaneously. Hundreds of human vessels that had posed as peaceful traders for decades suddenly revealed their true nature. Alien patrol fleets that had felt safe and superior found themselves facing weapons that defied everything they knew about physics. Near the Zephyrian home system, Commander So Young received the signal as she floated in what appeared to be a broken-down cargo hauler. Her ship had been stranded near the Council's largest military shipyard for 3 months, sending out distress signals that the aliens had long since stopped answering. All teams, this is Hammer 1, she whispered into her helmet comm. Operation. Sledgehammer is now active. Remember your training, no mercy, no hesitation. Her cargo ship split apart like a flower blooming in reverse. Hidden inside were 6 smaller attack vessels, each one carrying technology that the aliens had never seen before. The human ships moved with impossible speed, their hulls shimmering with energy fields that bent light around them. The alien shipyard was massive, stretching across several kilometers of space. Thousands of workers scurried between the construction docks where new Council warships were being built. Defense platforms bristled with weapons designed to stop any possible attack. Commander So Young's ships ignored the defensive fire completely. Their energy shields absorbed the alien weapons like they were nothing more than flashlights. The human vessels dove straight into the heart of the shipyard, their own weapons charging with a sound that made the very fabric of space vibrate. What are those ships? An alien supervisor screamed into his communicator. How are they moving so fast our sensors can barely track them? The human attack ships began firing, but not with any weapons the aliens recognized. Streams of controlled gravity tore through the shipyard's support structures. Quantum disruptors unmade entire sections of half-built warships at the molecular level. Reality itself seemed to bend around the human weapons. Impossible, breathed the alien admiral watching from his command station. Those are theoretical. Weapons. The physics don't work. How are primitive humans using theoretical physics? Commander So Young's voice cut through the alien communications. You called us primitive because we arrived late to your galactic community. You never considered that we might have spent those extra years learning things you forgot how to do. Her ships completed their first pass through the shipyard. Behind them, explosions bloomed in perfect silence as construction docks collapsed and unfinished warships broke apart. But the humans were not done. Phase 2, So Young commanded. The human ships suddenly stopped moving and hung motionless in space. Energy began building around them, creating fields of crackling power that made nearby asteroids simply disappear. The aliens watched in growing horror as space itself began to warp around the human vessels. They're tearing holes in reality, an alien scientist whispered. That's not possible. That technology would require understanding physics at a level we haven't reached. after millions of years of advancement. The human ships fired again, but this time their weapons reached through folded space to strike targets on the far side of the galaxy. Alien military bases light years away suddenly found themselves under attack from weapons that shouldn't have been able to reach them. Within the first hour of the war, 17 alien patrol fleets had been completely destroyed. The Council's 3 largest military construction facilities were burning ruins. Their primary communication networks were down, cut by weapons that attacked through dimensions the aliens didn't even know existed. In the Council chambers, panic was setting in. The crystalline beings who had ordered Jiwoo's execution huddled together as reports poured in from across their empire. "How is this possible?" the lead counselor demanded. "They're newcomers. They've only been in space for 50 years. We've ruled the galaxy for millions." An aide, one of the few surviving witnesses to the shipyard attack, trembled as he delivered his report. "Sir, I don't think they're newcomers at all. I think they've been preparing for this war since the day they first left their home planet, the E." Council members looked at each other with growing dread. They had believed they were dealing with a young, inexperienced species. Instead, they had awakened something that had been planning their destruction for decades. Human wrath, it turned out, was patient, methodical, and absolutely terrifying. Colonel Tai Min sat in a hidden bunker deep inside an asteroid, surrounded by screens showing alien communication networks across the galaxy. For 15 years, he had posed as a simple communications technician, quietly installing upgraded systems on alien worlds. The aliens had welcomed his improvements, never suspecting that every upgrade contained hidden back doors. "Begin operation." "Truth Storm," he commanded his team of specialists scattered throughout the galaxy. Within minutes, every alien communication device simultaneously displayed the same message. Personal screens, public broadcasts, military channels, even emergency systems all showed classified council documents that had been secret for millions of years. On the crystalline homeworld of the Zephyrians, citizens watched in shock as their screens revealed the true history of their empire. The documents showed how the Council had systematically destroyed 47 different species over the past million years. Entire civilizations had been wiped out, not for being aggressive, but simply for growing too quickly or refusing to serve. The Velothian species was eliminated for developing faster-than-light communication, read one document that flashed across 1 million screens. Their technology threatened Council information control. Total population eliminated, 4 billion souls. Young Zephyrian citizens began gathering in their crystal cities, their natural light flickering with emotions their elders had never seen before: anger, disgust, shame. On the insectoid worlds of the Hive Collective, worker drones stopped their tasks to stare at revelations about their own leadership. The documents showed how the Council had secretly sterilized entire Hive colonies when their populations grew too large, disguising the genocide as natural plague outbreaks. Hive colony Zeta 7 was deemed excessive in population growth, another document revealed. Chemical sterilization agents deployed through water supply. Colony population reduced from 50 million to 200,000 within one breeding cycle. The revelation sent shockwaves through the Hive networks. Worker drones began refusing orders from their queen mothers for the first time in their species' history. But the most devastating revelations were yet to come. Colonel Tai Min had saved the worst secrets for last. Documents began appearing that showed how the Council had been planning to eliminate not just humans, but 17 other species they considered problematic. The peaceful ethereal collective, known throughout the galaxy for their beautiful art and philosophy, discovered they were marked for extinction simply because their telepathic abilities made them difficult to control. The aquatic depth swimmers learned that their ocean worlds were scheduled to be drained and converted into mining operations. Phase 2, Colonel Tai Min whispered into his communicator. New documents appeared showing the private communications between Council members. Alien citizens read with growing horror as their leaders discussed them like livestock, debating which species would make better slaves and which should be eliminated entirely. The mammalian species on Kepler 7 show promise as manual laborers, read one message between council members, recommend reducing their population by 70% and implementing breeding controls to maintain optimal work capacity. Rebellions began erupting across the galaxy. On 17 different worlds, alien citizens stormed government buildings. Species that had been loyal to the Council for thousands of years suddenly turned against their oppressors. Meanwhile, in a different part of the galaxy, Dr. Hyojin watched from her laboratory ship as her greatest creation prepared to feed. The nanite swarm looked like a dark cloud drifting through space, but each speck of darkness was actually a microscopic machine designed for one purpose: consumption and conversion. Target acquired, her assistant reported. Council fleet designation, Alpha 7, consisting of 237 vessels. Dr. Hyojin nodded. Release the swarm. The dark cloud moved toward the alien fleet with purpose. The Council ships immediately opened fire, their energy weapons lighting up space with brilliant flashes. The beams passed harmlessly through the nanite cloud as if it were mere dust. "What is that thing?" screamed the alien admiral commanding the fleet. "Our weapons aren't affecting it." The nanite swarm reached the first ship and began to spread across its hull like a living shadow. Within seconds, the advanced alien metal began to dissolve as billions of tiny machines broke it down at the atomic level. The raw materials were instantly converted into more nanites, causing the dark cloud to grow larger and hungrier. "Retreat! All ships retreat," the admiral ordered, but it was too late. The swarm had tasted alien technology and found it delicious. Ship after ship was consumed, their crews evacuating in panic as their vessels literally dissolved around them. The nanites didn't just destroy the ships. They learned from them, copying alien technology and improving upon it. "Fascinating," Dr. Hyojin murmured as she watched her creation work. "The nanites are adapting their replication patterns based on the alien hull materials. They're becoming more efficient with each ship they consume." Within 3 hours, the entire Council fleet had been converted into raw materials and new nanites. Where once 237 warships had patrolled, now only a much larger cloud of hungry machines remained, already seeking their next meal. The psychological warfare was working exactly as planned. Across the galaxy, former allies of the Council were switching sides or declaring neutrality. Some species were offering to help humanity in exchange for protection from the Council's planned genocides. The nanite swarms were spreading too, consuming entire Council supply lines and converting them into resources for humanity's war effort. The aliens' own ships and stations were being turned against them, but perhaps the most terrifying aspect of humanity's campaign was its efficiency. There was no wasted effort, no random destruction. Every attack served a purpose. Every victory brought them closer to their ultimate goal. The Council members who had once felt secure in their crystal palaces now huddled in fear. Realizing they had not just started a war, they had awakened their own extinction. General Wu Jin stepped carefully through the shattered remains of what had once been the most powerful structure in the galaxy. The Great Council Chamber, built from living crystal that had grown for 1,000,000 years, now lay in glittering pieces across the floor. Sunlight streamed through massive holes in the walls, where human weapons had torn through defenses that were supposed to last forever. The war had lasted exactly 97 days. In that time, humanity had dismantled an empire that had ruled the galaxy for longer than most species could remember, not through mindless destruction, but through careful, methodical planning that had turned the Council's own strength against them. At the center of the ruined chamber, 12 alien beings knelt in a circle. These were the survivors of the Galactic Council, the ones who had voted to execute Ambassador Jiwoo. Their crystalline bodies were cracked and dim, their insectoid shells scarred from battle, their energy forms flickering weakly. "You may rise," General Wu Jin said quietly. His voice carried easily through the broken chamber, but there was no cruelty in it, no hatred. Just the calm authority of someone who had won completely. The alien leaders struggled to their feet, some leaning on walking aids, others supported by loyal servants who had somehow survived the collapse of their empire. They looked at the human general with eyes that held no defiance, only exhausted defeat. 97 days ago, Wu Jin began, walking slowly around the kneeling figures. "You believed you were dealing with primitives. You thought humans were just another young species that could be controlled or eliminated at your convenience." The lead counselor, a being of living crystal whose light had once blazed with arrogant power, flickered dimly as it spoke. We underestimated your species. We did not know you possessed such advanced technology." General Wu Jin stopped walking and looked directly at the crystal being. "Technology? You think this was about technology?" He gestured to the ruins around them. "Your technology was impressive. Your ships were powerful. Your weapons could destroy planets. But you made one fatal mistake that no amount of technology could fix." The alien leaders waited in silence, knowing they were about to learn the true reason for their defeat. "You ruled through fear," Wu Jin continued. "For millions of years, you kept other species in line by making them afraid. Afraid of punishment, afraid of extinction, afraid of you." He walked to where a massive viewing screen had once shown the Council's power to the galaxy. Now it lay cracked and dark on the floor. But fear only works when your subjects have no hope. The moment we revealed your plans to exterminate 17 species, your empire began to crumble. Not because we destroyed it, but because you had already destroyed it from within. The insectoid Queen Mother spoke for the first time, her voice barely a whisper through her translator device. "The rebellions. They turned against us because of your broadcasts. They turned against you because you gave them reason to," Wu Jin corrected. "We simply told them the truth. Your own documents, your own words, your own plans for genocide." He moved to stand before the kneeling group again. "Do you know what happened after your subjects learned the truth? The ethereal collective offered to share their telepathic networks with us. The depth swimmers provided us with their ocean world resources. 43 different species volunteered to help us fight against you." The crystal counselor's light flickered more weakly. They helped you destroy us?" "They helped us save themselves," Wu Jin replied. "That's what you never understood. Real strength doesn't come from making others fear you. It comes from making others want to stand beside you." Behind the general, human soldiers began setting up equipment throughout the ruined chamber. But they weren't weapons or torture devices. They were communication arrays, recording equipment, and translation systems. "What are you going to do with us?" asked another counselor, this one a floating energy being that pulsed with nervous light. General Wu Jin smiled, and for the first time since the war began, it was a genuinely warm expression. "We're going to give you something your empire never offered anyone else, a choice." The viewing screens that his soldiers had set up suddenly came to life, showing scenes from across the galaxy. But instead of destruction and conquest, they showed construction and cooperation. Human engineers working alongside alien scientists, mixed species colonies where children of different races played together, former council worlds where the population was rebuilding under new democratic governments. "This is the Terran Confederation," Wu Jin explained. "Not an empire built on fear, but a partnership built on cooperation. Every species has a voice, every world governs itself, every individual has the right to live free from the threat of extinction." He looked at each of the defeated counselors in turn. "You have a choice to make. You can join us as equals, help us build something better than what you destroyed, or you can be relocated to reservation worlds where you can live out your remaining years in peace." The crystal counselor's light brightened slightly with what might have been hope. You would trust us after everything we did?" "Trust is earned," Wu Jin replied. "But everyone deserves the chance to earn it, even you." One by one, the former counselors made their choice. Some chose exile, unable to accept a galaxy where they were no longer supreme. But others, seeing the footage of cooperation and peace, chose to try building instead of ruling. As the ceremony concluded, General Wu Jin walked to where a new memorial was being constructed. At its center would stand a statue of Ambassador Jiwu, not as a victim, but as the founder of a new age. Her sacrifice had not just saved humanity, it had saved the entire galaxy from an empire built on fear and hatred. In her place rose something unprecedented in galactic history, a civilization where being different was not a crime punishable by death, but a strength to be celebrated. The age of alien supremacy was over. The age of cooperation had begun.